Welcome back. In this video we're going to talk about arrays, and more specifically we're going to talk about static arrays. Now arrays are pretty much, basically they are a collection of variables. So you have a bunch of variables that are referenced by one name. So you use one name to call all the variables in this group. And you'll see what I mean when I show you an example. So we're going to start with an example that you might have something like this in a program. So let's say you want to ask the user for five numbers and add them and give them the answer. So let's do that without arrays, and I'll show you how much easier it is with arrays. So first thing we need is 5 variables. So we'll say A1, A2, A3, A4, A5. They'll be integers. Alright, next let's say there's a solution. Integer, it's also an integer. And the user is going to input something. He's going to give us a value. So we're going to have some other variable that's a string. This is going to be the user input. You'll see how I use it. Alright, so let's say we want to first ask the user to give us 5 numbers. So what we would say is, we would say input equals read line, and we say give us the next number. Alright, and it would go into input. Then we have to remember that it's a string and we need an integer, so we're going to convert it. What we're going to do is we're going to convert it to whatever the user gives us and automatically store it in A1. So we'll say A1 equals string to int, and we'll say input. And we have to do this 5 times, so let me just copy paste it 5 times. Alright, so 1, let me copy it again. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, and then we'd say A2, A3, A4, A5. Okay. So we have this huge, a lot of code for something really simple. And now we also have to add them, so we say a solution equals A1 plus A2 plus A3 plus A4 plus A5. Your hand will probably get tired by this point. And finally we're going to print out, we'll say right line, we'll say your answer is, and then remember we have to convert the solution, which is an integer. We have to convert it to a string in order to print it out. So we'll say int to string, and we'll say solution. Okay, so let's see if this works. So the first number, let's say 1, 2, 5, 2, or 1, and 2. Alright, so our answer is 11. So this is a pretty simple program, but already you can see that it's taking a lot of space. I mean, you have to do this 5 times. What if you needed 10 numbers? You would have to do this 10 times. So you can see how this can get really long and annoying after a while. So there's a very easy fix to this, and this is where arrays come in. So let's create a new program. Let's hold on. Control T will give you a new tab. Let's rename it static arrays. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to rewrite this same program with using arrays, and then you'll see how much simpler it is. Now, like I said, arrays are just a group of a bunch of variables. So, for example, A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, we're just going to convert that into one variable and then give it a range. We're going to say, this variable has this many integers. Okay, so how we do this, we say var, same way, keyword var. We give it one name. So in this case, let's just name it A, just to keep it similar to the other one. Then we say array, this keyword array. And now we have to give it a range. So in programming, in almost any language, everything starts at 0 and it goes till some number. In real life, you would start at 1, 2, 3, 4, but in programming, you would start at 0, 1, 2, 3. It's just, you have to get used to it. It's used everywhere. So if we want 5 variables, if we want 5 integers like we had here, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we'll have to say from 0 until 4, because it'll be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 numbers. Alright? And finally we say what kind of array it is. What variables are we going to store in it? We can store anything we want. We can store string, we can store boolean, we can store, and in this case we're going to store integer. So array can store any type of variable that you can use by itself. Alright, so we have, this A. It's going to be an array of 5 integers. Alright, then we're going to have a solution, same way. We're going to name an integer. And we're going to have an input, same thing, string. Now before we actually rewrite the program, I'm just going to show you how to use, how to access elements within this array, how to access like specific numbers. So what you would do is if you wanted to fill something in, say you wanted a of 0 to be something, you would say this. You would say a, left bracket, the number that you want. So in this case, it'll go from 0 to 4. If you say 5 in here, it'll give you an error because 5 doesn't exist in there. It's only 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this can be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. All of those, because it's range from 0 to 4. If this range was from 2 to 4, then if it's 2 to 4, then we can only say 0, 2, 3, 4. So it's whatever. It depends on what you used here. In this case, we use 0 to 4, so we can only put 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now that you say which one you want, you can do whatever you want with it. It's the same thing as the same way a variable behaves. So you could fill it in with something. Let's say a0 equals 2, and you can do this for all of them. You can say equals 2, and then you can also access it. So you can say, let's just test it. Right line, int. Remember, it's an integer, so we have to convert it to a string. And we'll say a of 0. So we want to print out the 0th. Well, it's first, but it's number 0 element within the array A. Alright, so let's try it. Oops. Forgot this parenthesis here. Alright, see? Print out number 2. We filled in ace of 0, this number right here, with 2. If we change it to something else, let's say we change it to 5. See, now it prints out 5 because this variable right here, this array, the 0th element is now 5, and then we accessed it. We said, what is the 0th element of the array A? So it's exactly like a variable, just a little more syntax, a little more brackets and stuff. Alright, now let's convert that program that we had before to one using static arrays. For this, you will need to know what a for loop is. So if you haven't seen the last video, definitely check it out. We talked about loops, how to do something more than once, kind of through something called a loop. So what we're going to do here is first we need a counter. Remember, if you saw the last video, we had a counter. We had some variable that kept track of how many times we did the loop. So in this case, let's make it I. So the integer I will be our counter, and let's start it at 0. And we'll go to 4 because we go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and we'll do begin, end. What we'll do in here is we'll ask the user 5 times from 0 to 4. So we'll ask him 5 times what the next input is. So what we're going to do is we're going to say input equals so read line. We'll ask give us the next number. Alright, and then we're going to say, since input is a string, remember once again we have to convert it. So what we're going to say is this time we're going to say ace of I. Remember, I is an integer, so I is like our counter, sometimes it's called an index. It keeps track of where we are in A. So we'll start at 0, fill it in with something. So in this case it'll be whatever the user put it in, it'll be stored in A0. Okay, so we'll do, remember we have to convert it to an integer since a string. Input is a string. It's some text that the user gave us. We have to figure out what number is in the text. So we use this. We say string to int, and we'll say input. Okay, so in this case, it'll go A0 will be the first one, then it'll loop again. It'll increase I. I will become 1. So then this will be A of 1. Then I will become 2, A of 2. So it'll keep increasing until I equals 4, and then it'll stop. Okay, so once we do this, we have to add everything. So an easy way to do this, you could do it the way we did it here. Here we just said A0, A2, A3, A4, A5. But an easier way would be just to have a loop. So we'd have, same thing, we'd have I from 0 to 4. We begin, end, and let's just add. Let's say solution equals solution plus A of I. Alright? And finally, let's print out the solution. So we'll say string to into string. Remember to convert the integer to a string, and solution. All right, so let's try it. Let's just make it simple. I'm just going to keep giving it 1. Alright, so the answer is 5. It added 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. So let's compare our two programs. We have one that's 29 lines. Well, it could be shortened, at least spaces and stuff. Let's do that. Let's see how much it is. Alright, so 21 lines, and let's shorten this one. 19 lines. It's a little shorter, and I could have probably made it a little shorter too, but that's fine. See how it's already 2 lines long, two lines less. But what if I had instead of 5? What if I had 10? I mean, that would be twice as many lines right here. But if I had 10 here, it'd be the same amount of lines. I would just change this to 10 or 9, since it's 0 to 9, and I would just change 9, 9. And it would be the same amount of lines, even though this one just increased by 2. And in the next video, we're going to talk about something called dynamic arrays, which are even more useful. And those are more useful because they don't actually require a preset range. See, here we have 0 to 4 or whatever to whatever. But with dynamic arrays, you don't need that. You can set the size whenever you want. So we'll learn about that in the next video. For now, just practice with this. Try to understand what's going on. Try to play around with it a little bit. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.